Actually, one of the slogans that we have in school, not in FEU, no, is where industry meets academia. No? And this is also one of the principles that I also want to to everybody to also envision that it's actually more of like a collaboration between the two sectors, no? Because definitely as educators, no, we also have an understand on how the industry works. I've chosen telecommunications as my field of specialization.
Okay, so welcome again here in our EduTech Insider. And sa lahat ng mga audience, good afternoon to all of you. So right now, what we have is a very special guest because what he will teach us is something that is quite different in terms of engineering, in terms of telecommunication. Now, he is a cloud infrastructure manager in cloud telecom for 13 years and a part-time instructor of the computer engineering in FEU Institute of Technology for 10 years. And of course, creator of AI and machine learning, SDN and MNFV in Asia Open RAN Academy. He is a professional computer engineer and a licensed electronics technician. Um, and he went to grad school in PUP Manila, taking up master's in computer engineering, major in data science and engineering. None other than welcome, let us all welcome Sir Liberius Taru. Hello, sir.
Hi, Per. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And thank you very much also for having here.
Sure, it's my pleasure to have you here in our program. Okay, sir. Kamusta ka ngayon?
I'm okay right now. Thanks also for having me here today. And I'm actually also excited to share some of my thoughts and some also of my to contribute some of my knowledge also to all of our audience today.
Wow, sobrang busy, no? So aside from being a TOT instructor sa FEU, you're still connected in FEU, right?
Yes, that's right. Sabi nga nila they're actually a bit surprised how I'm able to manage my time now because I wear a lot of hats. No? So I work both in the industry and also in the academy for almost damn well near a decade already. So but again, no, yung intention ko actually is that even though I have this opportunity to already go throughout this academy ko, no, I understand that even in the industry, I still chose to to keep my career in it in the industry. It's because there are still some findings, there are still some knowledge that we can in fact learn, no, from the industry. Sabi nga nila, no, na actually one of the slogans that we have in school, not in FEU, no, is where industry meets academia. No? And this is also one of the principles that I also want to to everybody to also envision that it's actually more of like a collaboration between the two sectors, no? Because definitely as educators, no, we also have an understand on how the industry works. So that is also why I've also chosen to still be in the industry, being in Globe Telecom, because I also want to have uh, at least a real life understanding or picture or what is going on right now, and at the very least, no, have these ideas, no, brought back into the academy so that not everything can be driven by purely theories. Yun kasi yung parang perception din ng ng tao na parang bang kung ano yung natutunan ko sa school, parang hindi ko naman siya na-apply dito sa industry, di ba? So, let's just say that I'm just one of those few people who are also uh, are inspired to still go on these two sectors, no matter how challenging it is.
Mm.
Both time and the knowledge efforts. And I've chosen telecommunications as my field of specialization.
Yeah. And in fact, it's really amazing to see someone like you who is very active in academe, and at the same time, you can still manage your time in working in an industry. I heard some people when, um, I believe that was in Malaysia when we were in Malaysia last time. So sabi niya, ay, si Sir Liber, sobrang galing niyan. So, ibig sabihin, you're not only doing, your job, but you are excelling as well. So, because, you cannot just hear that from other people kung hindi naman gano'n. So, that's a good thing. In fact, very inspiring to see someone like you doing that. So, sir, sa ngayon, um, what, what do you do now in Open Run? Because you are also connected to Asia Open Run Academy, right?
Yes, that's right.
What do you do there?
Ah, I'm a course content creator. I'm also one of the lecturers there. So just to give you also an overview on what the organization is. So Asia Open Run Academy is a nonprofit organization. It's based here in the Philippines, but in fact, it also caters to ideally internationally, but we have started off also um, going out into Asia Pacific countries. So ang objective ng Asia Open Run Academy as an institution is to empower engineers, professionals, especially in the field of Open Run. So Open Run or in telecommunications, no, Open Radio Access Network. No?
Okay.
Yan. So we are quite a mismatch of people because some of us are in fact industry practitioners. We also have course creators from also from the academy. So you can see that I belong also to a community who are as diverse of interests as I am, because even though our organization is more on empowering engineers and educating them in latest trends and technologies in not just in Open RAN but in telecommunications in general. Um, our still objective here is, I mean, there are representatives from both the industry, such as myself. There are also other people who are, say, for example, who already had a mix of both the industry and the academy, and also from purely from the academy. No, but we are working coherently to still empower both technical and non-technical people, in the concept of rate of Open RAN in general. So you might have not heard of this technology recently, because nowadays no, the trend ng technology is, let's face it, geared towards AI and machine learning.
Correct.
But our that is really more on the space of emerging technologies, arguably we can say that. But Open RAN in general, no, we can say that this is more on the telecommunications aspect. So it's also where I'm also a bit tied also in my full-time work sa telecom, because that is one of the key technologies that we are also eyeing in, that the Philippines has the potential at least becoming one of the hotspots.
Okay.
Actually, there are already some countries that are already pioneering this technology. And fortunately for us, we're still we're a bit on edge, in fact. On edge, and sometimes we are at par with them. Okay, sure. So let me share my screen
Yeah, sure.
first. Para so that can also have a bit of an appreciation. There. My screen is visible right now.
Yes.
Okay. So, what is Open RAN? So I actually got this from our website. So www.asiaopenranacademy.com. So, I'm talking here already of telecommunications. So first off, I'll just give you a quick overview of what is RAN in the first place, or radio access network. In telecommunications in general, normally the only domain that is most visible to us as end users, considering myself also as one, is the one that is normally seen in cell sites. Diba? So meron tayong mga cell sites. Ito yung mga malalaking tore na nakita natin na nagbubuga ng signal and is in fact responsible for ensuring connectivity ng mga websites ng ano natin, ng mga mobile phones natin.
Yeah.
So there now, di ba nga, ito rin in fact is one of also of the concepts or one of the things being discussed, especially in the community, is that you radio access. So ibig sabihin ba nun, take the case for instance ng telco players natin, si Smart at si Globe mo, even dito, is the telecommunications network only consisting of those cell sites? Meron pa bang nangyayari bukod pa dun sa cell sites mismo na nakikita ng ng mga subscribers mo? And the answer is definitely there is. No? So yung the only thing that's visible to us is in fact the access network of the telecommunications space. No?
Okay.
Now, there are in general mobile telecommunications can in fact be broken down into its several parts. No? So you have there your wireless access, the cell sites. You also have the transport layer responsible for ensuring that sample your signaling, also your data plane, the data wherein the subscribers are running to, is being passed into the last portion or the inner part of the network, which is the core network. So, yung mga usapan halimbawa ng 5G, ng voice over LTE or LTE, yung 4G natin, no? Or yung voice over Wi-Fi, no? All of these services are in fact deployed in the core.
Okay.
And yung pagpapasa ng traffic within within the telecommunication space is mainly the integration of these three parts: access, transport, core. Now, where does Open RAN kick in here? Now, this is in fact has already been the trend of the telecommunications industry in general. Now, normally itong mga equipment na ginagamit natin to even install or put up the network that we have right now, 4G or 5G, binibili natin obviously yung equipment na to from OEMs, or original equipment manufacturers and their corresponding system integrators. So we can talk already here of the likes of Nokia, Ericsson, Cisco, Huawei. So these are the companies responsible for building up or selling to us, to the operators, ito mga equipment na to.
Okay.
Now, where am I coming from here? Well, these equipment normally, these are, I would say, in technical terms, is coupled with the vendor providers themselves. Meaning, if say I want to put up a cell site that is deployed in, or that I purchased, for example, from Nokia, I have to make sure that the core network, say, example, I purchased it from Huawei, is integrated or is able to seamlessly talk to our wireless access network or to Nokia's equipment. Now, in general, all of these OEMs, manufacturers, they also follow certain standards. And of course, this is also agreed by everybody who is into the telco space in general, both the operator and manufacturer. But sometimes there are some unique services that each of these manufacturers cannot solely offer to the operators if say they are secured by proprietary needs. So meaning na meron lang specific feature na say available lang if I purchase Nokia cell site or if I purchase a Huawei cell site. same as goes across the different domains. No? So take the case, for instance, for our core, if say meron akong gustong specific na feature na gusto made available to everybody in the public, but this feature can only be delivered by, say, Nokia equipment or Ericsson equipment, then the other vendors don't stand chance. I'm forced as the operator to just purchase Ericsson's equipment. So para bang ganun, nakakaroon ka ng sense of vendor lock.
All right.
So that's one challenge. Another challenge is normally these components of your telecommunications are also guided by interfaces. So ito yung para bang you have, say, one interface that would connect the wireless access to our mid-haul, okay, or to our distributed unit. No? And this interface, for instance, is just proprietary to certain vendors. No? So may mga ganun na challenges na there are sense of lock-ins that prevent innovation and even, I arguably, not openness of other providers to offer something that is somewhat similar. So this is where the principle of Open RAN comes in. It's actually a approach that allows telecommunication providers and even operators to completely disaggregate, meaning remove their dependency from different vendors. And if, say, they want to deploy whatever it is that they want in the network, they can do so. Now, you can say na para bang this is a bit of a challenge both to the vendors and to the operators themselves. Now, because again, with openness also comes some risks and limitations that are frankly not being also faced, not just in the telecommunications space, but even in other, in other. But here, the main goal of Open RAN in general is to make network services more affordable by lowering access, by giving essentially whatever it is that the operator wants to do in their network, give them the liberty to do so. And despite the irony of openness, there are in fact some manufacturers who are willing to support this initiative. Kumbaga parang in IT space or in enterprise, ito yung parang equivalent ng having an open source software for everybody to see yung underlying code, and they want to make tweaks of their own and redistribute it with of their own terms, and they can do so. So this is somewhat similar, but in the telcos.
Yes.
So you are making the different components. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
I just want to ask, since before may mga players na they are close, they don't want to share their technology with other siguro companies, no? And since meron tayong ganito nga na openness, do you think these close companies before are willing as well to provide or to support this kind of openness that you just mentioned? Or there are new players which are different or separated from the established one na willing lang sumuport sa ganito?
Good question. So yes, it's actually a mixture of both. And it's a bit weird because when we first started off this initiative, actually this was even way before I'm part of Insho Open RAN Academy. This has already been going through for quite some time. Relatively, it doesn't. In fact, we didn't start off here in Asia or Asia Pacific. It started off in the West. So think of Europe or even in the US. And admittedly, also, although there are some still some companies or organizations who are still not completely in supporting Open RAN in general. There are in fact some big players right now who are already supporting this. They also understand that even though para bang okay, I'm making my equipment available to everybody to see and to tinker around. Now, this can incur some costs in them and even some revenue in general. Let's just say that there are even some organizations that innovation is still the key to them. So there's still a sense of uh, altruistic approach in having these technologies available to everybody. And we're not just talking here about small startups. No, we're also talking here of large companies. Think of Intel, think of NEC, Veneer, no? And even those big players who are already well established in um, telcos in such as Fujitsu, Huawei, even Nokia and Ericsson are already there. No?
That's
Of course,
that.
there are some caveats, no, but they are already supporting this.
What about the security? Uh, since previously they have this established closed network or technology, and then suddenly there's an open run and initiating that okay, why not try to open source something or open it to more and more users, so on and so forth. It's like opening your API to the public. And what about the security of that? Because who usually do the security? Is it the Open RAN organization, or is it the company itself, the players?
Mm. Okay, so um, keep in mind that okay, so first to answer your question, this is in fact like all other initiatives, especially in the open source sector of power software. No? Security and vulnerabilities are in fact unchanged between the two parties. So actually, we can also incorporate here the third one, which is the operators themselves. So we have the manufacturers, the operators. Heck, we can even include here the customers. So a bit of a caveat here also, just because Open RAN here, we are uh, giving everybody the liberty to essentially look into the code and see into how the undergoings no, ng entire network natin. This is not to say that correct that not everything should be open like you're opening a floodgate already that hey everybody and everything is already being exposed. Of course, there are some caveats here and some asterisks that still need to be considered. So definitely, this is also the reason why I also brought up this illustration because there are in fact still some components of your open RAN of your network in general that you still cannot completely make open source or to completely disaggregate or to completely decouple. And this is also where innovation would be the main driver, especially to those OEMs. Because imagine, no, if you are say an OEM and you can market your equipment and your services to be fully open RAN. That's actually more of like a competitive edge to say somebody who is still somewhat closed off compared to other to them. No? Para bang you can in fact make it a strong point for your products and services so that others would be able to also adapt and eventually be a patron of your equipment and services. So going back again to cybersecurity and also to vulnerabilities and risks. Yes, there would still be it's in fact a twofold initiative. And this is one of the initiatives and key items that Open RAN is also prodding at the moment. So it's happening right now as we speak. Similar also to open source software in general. It's not really like once you've already established your security principles for open source code, it's then and there. It's already there, but it's still a growing development. It's still an ongoing development, rather. And especially right now with the onset of AI, no, and some of the challenges that also poses, no, uh, the importance of cybersecurity and privacy in general cannot be put more, cannot be stressed even more.
Okay. Now, I just want to ask, sir, when it comes to the impact on the daily lives of the consumers, customers, users, what's the main impact of um, having an open RAN between players and then this kind of initiative?
Okay, good. So perhaps more on the if we're going to look at it from the telco in the bigger perspective, um, envision say envision a somewhat near future or a near distant future wherein if you want or no, let me ground it first na lang dito sa existing na example right now. Let's take an existing service that we have in the telco space. No? I presume that some or almost everybody here is already familiar with services of both Smart and Globe,
Yeah.
wherein you can take your number and if say you want to retain your number but you want to switch operators, so say you are from Smart and you want to transition from Globe, you can take your original number and then just take it to your operator. Just go into their store and make sure and just tell them, okay, I have an existing number. Can I still use this? But I want to say already use your network as my as my service. No, back then it's still not yet it's not
Possible.
yet possible for us. No? So but right now it's already possible because of again the openness of not just the two major players here in the Philippines, but also of the technology itself. So it's in fact uh, it's called the mobile number portability technology. Now where am I coming from here? No? So um, although that technology is not really open source per se, no, its principles of having customers the capability and power to just take their number and then go into another operator and still retain that number, it empowers them to do so. Not now, where am I coming from here sa open yan? Now, think of it this way. Suppose you are saying a student and let's just say that you want to have or you have a very curious mind and you want to say put up your own network. Say you have you are a college student, an engineering college student, and you want your prototype to be somewhat unique. You want to put up your own cell site, your own network in your school campus, no? And given the only equipment that we have right now are say single board computers such as your Raspberry Pi or your Arduino, no, I cannot do so. I'm limited to that. So through Open RAN, because the interfaces, the guidelines, and the principles are already available for everybody to also see and even mimic. It's now possible also for that student to essentially put up their own small scale version of a nationwide network inside their school campus. No, without even already availing of say or tapping into say Smart or Globe. And if they even want to have their own small network, no, they can already do so. So it's already a driver for for innovation. But
Okay.
that is really a bit more on the technical aspect. No? Let's take it one step notch, no, for say the regular subscriber or customer. So say for instance you are a subscriber say from Globe, no? You are a prepaid subscriber, and you'll notice back then that when you go into certain areas that are considered as dead spots, no, you have to rely on a different network. So let's take another scenario here. No? Para bang you are a Globe subscriber, but when you go into this certain spot, ay, dead spot si Globe dito. What do you do? So you have no choice but either to switch your SIM, okay, and then go to Smart, no? So the hassle, if you have that convenience also to have two SIMs, no, and just switch it using your mobile phone, no, is well and good. But how about the others who are not able to do so? So what you do through Open RAN, it's possible that even though the radio access there is being handled by Globe, for instance, no, through this technology, it's not possible for uh, actually the subscriber won't be able to experience the dead spots anymore because unconsciously, their devices are already linked to say a smart cell site. No, I mean it's already seamless. So that's one, and I believe it's a bit more idealistic. No, so that's also another scenario. Another scenario here. And in fact, these are one of the This is in fact one of the initiatives that Visual Open RAN is also looking into. No, say we have a small remote clinic in the likes of Tawi Tawi.
Mhm.
And this thing for let's take that, no? Or some islands, say in the Visayas region, where the network of Smart and Globe cannot even go into those, or is not able to build infrastructure there. Frankly, because of say the availability of the side of the island itself. So para bang consider near borderline jungle na yung dating ng island na yun. And um, there's a small clinic there, and it's being run by doctors there, and they don't have mobile communications on site.
Okay.
They don't have internet there. And unfortunately also that it's also a challenge for operators to go into send remote site. So what do you do? So through Open RAN, no, it's not possible for that small clinic put up their own cell site, to have their own core network, no, and have that network connect to either Smart or Globe, so that either of these two networks can already provide service, no, without even the operators themselves going into into the island. No? Saves also the trouble and the cost of that clinic of having their own small network, is because it's already being managed by the clinic itself. No? So para bang think of the clinic is able to have internet connectivity, no, despite it not being connected to either of the two big players in the country. That's also a promise. And in fact, that's also one of the initiatives of uh, Asia Open RAN, is also not just to be an organization who's empowering and educating engineers of this technology, but also to help other sectors in the Gulf, in our community, such as remote doctors, even in the fields of agriculture, to have their own mobile communications, no, with the least amount of cost and services.
Yeah. You mentioned, sir, that it will be a seamless switching from one network to another network, right? Now, what if, because we know that per network, they had their own promo to avail certain load promotions, or how big is the data that you will get, something like that. Now, let's say I'm originally from Go, and then I asked the probably I don't know, the authority to, or someone who is handling it, to switch my number, same number, to Smart. But what would happen with the promotions? Yeah, promotions that a certain company is offering it to a certain number. Because if I'm a Globe user, I can no longer avail only Globe 20, something like that. If I want to fix it into Smart, is it? Correct me if I'm wrong with that.
So, this is also where the concept of innovation would definitely become in. So, I'm also here's a not so secret, no, between the big players of the telco space that we have. Like, marketing and revenue aside, question mark. Marketing and revenue aside, question mark, no? Even though the public would normally see our two big players as major competitors, as somebody who, as organizations who cannot really stand a chance with each other. No? They can't really, if you say, you are from Globe and you say that you are from Smart, you are eagerly met with a raised eyebrow and vice versa. No, so that's the general public perception of these two big players. No, but let's put at it also in in another perspective here. Despite the competition that is also happening, between these, remember that these two are also Filipino companies. No? Their objective is still to provide connectivity to the Filipino people. And you may sound that I may sound a bit naive here at first, no? But hear me out. You can think already that even though we are competing with one another, our objective still as operators is to offer connectivity to the Filipino, to everybody here in the Philippines. So um going back to your question, what happens to services? What happens to say promos and services? This is where already also innovation would already come into mind. It's a bit of a stretch, in fact, no? Not think na para bang, hey, I'm an e-Globe subscriber. Is it possible na I can have my offering also or my Globe promo run in a smart network? That sounds a bit counterintuitive at first, but hey, some countries are already going into that, no? It might not look like it in the front, in the subscriber, but actually in the back, no, it's already being done, no? Think of it this way. In terms of promo, siguro, right now the principle would be whoever operator that you availed of that promo, that is also where you're still going to be using. No? But say the interconnection of multiple operators is already existing even before OpenRAN was there. So let's take one example. So suppose you have a Globe number or you have a Globe SIM. It's not possible for you to also call a PLDT landline, right? Or say you have a smart prepaid and you're able to call, say, somebody who has a Globe line or Globe landline. No? So there is already an interchange or interconnection of these operators. So the impression that these operators are in fact working in their own small bubble is actually a bit far off from the real. Even though, even now, see, here in the in the network, no, the telco technical field, no, we often also work with other with other operators. No? So putting on my Globe hat here, no, it's actually also possible for Globe engineers to also work with smart engineers and so on. No? And one proof of this is in fact the service that we have right now, the mobile number portability. It's made possible because of both operators setting aside their differences in really just giving out this service for everybody for the common good. So some people might in fact argue that my approach or my perception on telecommunications in general is a bit naive. No? Kasi para ba dapat magkalaban kayo, dapat you are competing with one another, but hey, in real life scenarios, no, are we really competing with each other because hey, we are offering services, no? Both from Smart, from Globe, and even from Dito. It's really more of like a collaboration, in fact, these three operators.
Okay, so since big players are already into that idea, Open RAN, how about government? Is the government supporting this Open RAN as well? Because chances are, like for example, you mentioned earlier that let's say an engineering student could somehow think of an idea using the Arduino or Raspberry Pi to to create a network for the entire school without even probably asking permission to Globe or Smart, something like that. Do you think government will allow that kind of activity? Because it might be somehow also, there might be also a chance wherein hackers will do that and then take advantage of that technology on their own, benefits.
Good point. So, um, yes, there are. So, with regards to our government, yes, they are also on board with this initiative. In fact, no, some of the courses, a bit of a spin here, no, some of the uh, courses and learning sessions that our team is also offering is in fact also supported by government bodies such as the ITC.
Mm.
And in fact, we are also the ITC is also responsible for even sponsoring some of our learning sessions made available for everybody to attend to free of charge. No? There is also say other professional regulatory bodies such as PRC, right?
Mm.
And even organizations such as IESET, no? ICPET,
Uh,
MRSP. So these are bodies that are both of them public and private, no, that are also supporting this technology. I would agree also that in terms of say uh, security threats and vulnerabilities, it's definitely there. No? But the concept here is still tread this technology with as if do not take this as if it's a grain of salt. Just because everything is already being made open, just the government is also um I don't want to say the government is already setting aside their priorities out. No? So
mhm.
para bang yes, they are also supporting here, but of course there's some caveats that security and data privacy is still a priority. So that's why not everything is completely open. No? This is also where I mean, similar also to your open source software, right? There are some terms and conditions on say if you want to use a specific open source software. Not everything can be in fact opened up uh, as is where it is. No? So it's also something that is not completely black and white. That just because you say that it is open source or it is already open RAN, doesn't mean that the entire the entire telecommunications network standards and all of its technology supporting technologies is already made available to the public. There are in the openness that we are referring to here, there are still some levels, there are still some implications and considerations have to consider, not just looking into the limitation of the technology itself, but also of, again, security. Okay?
So how about, sir, schools, teachers, and students in their, you know, everyday teaching and everyday learning? How do you think they will, take advantage of this? They will be benefiting from this technology open RAN.
Okay, so with regards to support from even from academia, no, well, um, we have already as an organization have signed some MOUs with or universities and colleges who have in fact agreed to also incorporate Open RAN and the similar courses to it, no, to their curriculum, no, and so meaning that and why are they doing so? Because again, if we're going to also look at it from a pragmatic approach, no, not everything can also be focused for the development here. So meaning that some, in fact, aspiring engineers, students, no, and even industry practitioners may also want to take their skill set as one of their, or have this skill set, no, so that they have a more of a competitive edge when they plan to say work overseas. So, so my point here, no, uh, education or the academic sector, education sector, is also able to benefit from Open RAN because number one, um, competitive edge to their students because imagine, gone are the days where we are just limited to our skill sets of learning what a semiconductor is, what a transistor is, or if you are from the com sci field, how to program your how to create a program in C. So gone are those days, and right now we are already going into that advancement of Open RAN, telecommunications, cloud computing, containerization, and of course AI and ML. So it gives them competitive edge, number one. And of course, number two is driver for innovation. So it gives also universities and educational institutions to also look into this technology, see what is it that they can improve on it. And hey, maybe in the next conference, a promising research paper can also be brought up from OpenRAN, just by a single student. So, yeah.
As of the moment, sir, are we already on the stage of implementing it on the nationwide? Or if not, how many percentage are we still uh, doing as of the moment? And if you're predicting the future, let's say 2 years from now or 3 years from now, how are we going to implement it in the entire country?
Okay. With regards to adoption in our country, we are still because the technology has just recently been introduced in the Philippines. Now, well, 2 3 years ago, give or take. So, in terms of its overall adoption, excuse me, in terms of its overall adoption, we are still in that learning stage. So,
Mhm.
meaning that, again, that is also why uh, institutions such as ourselves are also looking into first educating the public on this technology. This is also not to say that we are just focused solely on educating and empowering, because um, I mentioned a while ago about um, MOUs being signed across different educational institutions, colleges, and universities. No? There are also, in fact, some small scale non-government organizations who have also agreed to also partner with us, and also to uh, have Open RAN be adopted in their small community. Their sense of adoption is somewhat still limited because we are also looking into say possible equipment that would be available for us because right now, no, let's face it, despite this being open source, not everybody can still have uh, or DIY their own
Mm.
open run network. We still need some support from other OEMs, from manufacturers. So that is actually where we are also with establishing partnerships and collaborations, no? And also uh, procuring different equipment that can also be deployed here in the Philippines, starting off as, of course, as proof of concepts, POCs, and also as what you call this, small scale laboratories. So that's as far as adoption still goes. But in terms of full blown production, um, I would say in 3 to 4 years time, give or take, or even we can even extend it to 3 to 5 years. Perhaps that's the only time that we can go full scale with this. Because let's face it, also there would be some retractions also by not just telco organizations or telecommunications, but also other sectors.
I see. Do you think AI or machine learning would play a big role in Open RAN as it will be implemented in the entire country?
Yes. Okay. So good question also because definitely we are also in the focus of AI and ML here. So is it possible to even combine Open RAN with um, AI and machine learning in general. So definitely the answer here is a yes. So AI here, actually just going through some of my slides here. No, we have already some use cases. If we're going to look at AI into a technology in its own, it's quite vast. To be honest, because there is its capabilities for right now, it's really more of conversational AI, meaning that the focus of our use cases for machine learning and AI is more on, say, developing chatbots, no?
Mm.
Giving a bit of creating a model that is able to gain insights. And say, if you are working from academia, no, they are normally used as summarizers, no, paraphrasers, among of those use cases. No, now, um, another example here also, no, another subset of it is also natural language processing. And I'm also bringing this up because this is in fact one of the subsets of AI, of ML, that is most popular nowadays. Because imagine the capability of having to understand, or having a machine understand the nuances of human language in general is already a feat on its own. And is it even possible for us to even combine all of this and have an amalgamation, or have a valid use case, a minimum viable product for it? So definitely there is, no? Based also on my personal research, one of, or most of the use cases that we can look into, uh, combining the capabilities that, or the promises of AI alongside the Open RAN in general are three. No? So number one, I've already given out to you. So chatbots and virtual assistant. And in fact, this is already being used by our telco operators nowadays. I mean, we've all been there. We have seen an issue with, say, Smart or with Dope, and gone are the days wherein we would go into a concept store and vent all of our problems there. Most of the time, in fact, no, all we have to do, if we have an issue, we go to Messenger, we get the chatbots. And it's not just even in telecommunications anymore. No, we can also look this certain use case also, not just in Smart and Globe, but also in other providers, say the likes of, say, Sky Cable, no? Or even Viber. No? So this is one use case that we can look into. Another one, and I believe these two are the most prevalent ones to be used for Open RAN in general, because chatbots and virtual assistants are really more on the customer facing. But when we talk about Open RAN, it's really more of, it's not really much on the customer side. It's really more on the network side, right? How the network works, how are its undergoing so on. So we're talking here of how do we provision services, how do we ensure that operations and maintenance are being maintained within the network. So this is where possible use cases can come in. So number one is network operations and finance. So definitely, um, AI and ML, because of its capability to uh, essentially get patterns, no, do some possible predictions. For example, linear regression. It's a linear regression, for example, or even convolutional neural networks. These are can in fact be stretched further and have them work into, say, the operations of the network, or the OS part. No? Um, we can in fact already introduce some automation and orchestration, no, in monitoring our equipment network elements using AI. And if even if we're not yet there in the having, say, a model, do smart, or do the intelligence needed to configure, already proactively configure the network, no, uh, at least give that AI or model the capability to provide insights, understanding on the network. So take my example, for instance. In the telco space, for example, now, I was in fact back then a network, an NOC engineer, doc. And one of my tasks there and routine is in fact, because back then I was also before I transitioned to core, the core domain, I in fact worked also in the wireless access field. So I'm not the one you see here climbing up a cell site, no. But I'm in fact one of the engineers who is responsible for monitoring remotely our cell sites. So where am I coming from here? Back then, one of my routinary work is in fact go over the different cell sites spread across nation throughout the Philippines, go into their GUI, type all of their commands just for me to have an output of how they are working. So just learning the commands alone is already a hassle. And I have to do this routine every day, regardless of whether that cell site is working or not. It's part of my routine. Now, imagine if instead of doing that, I can just have a single UI, where in this UI, uh, like a chatbot style, as the UI that, hey, give me a status report of all of my cell sites in region X.
But more on talking.
Not really talking per se, but more of like chatting. So
Okay,
it's as
alright.
if you are already talking into a chatbot. So think of it like in sorry to say here, dumbed down version of say who is it from Iron Man? I forgot the Jarvis.
Okay,
So
yeah.
a dumbed down version of Jarvis, but in a network perspective.
Okay.
Okay, so something like that, wherein all you have to do as the engineer is to type a simple prompt, give me the out or give me the overall network health for say 7 days. Then immediately the chatbot is able to respond, give to you a report, something like that. Or we can even take it proactively, wherein say the AI model is now able to also detect some faults or say identify which certain transceiver is down for a specific website or for a specific cell site, no? And notify the engineer who is on shift that day. And although they do not have the capability to perform the configuration for the fix, give suggestions or recommendations on how to properly mitigate the problem. So that's that level of technology of intelligence that we are giving to the network. So that's one. That's only one example. Network operations and maintenance. How about cybersecurity here? So I believe this. Although us as a nation, we are still not yet there in terms of mitigating all of the controls, and in fact, more. Uh, Arguably, we have faced some challenges, especially nowadays, wherein uh, malicious individuals or even groups or organizations are in fact spoofing, as say from receiving a text message from banks or even from Smart or Globe, saying that they have say an upcoming transaction. So this is also a use case that AI and ML can also pitch in and see that if there are certain patterns or word phrases coming from a certain source, they would be able to detect and eventually mitigate that threat. So these are just, although you can think of these use cases somewhat far off from the future, it's not really that far off yet. It's all in the matter of how much of it we want to already adopt. So um I also take this chance to also set some expectations and
Okay.
implications already on AI and ML. So notice that even though we've started off this conversation with OpenAI in general, no, we have also transitioned to AI. This is because arguably not all sectors of technology are in fact already going there. So these are in fact some of the limitations that we are still looking into AI and ML. So just because it is new, so remember, I'm not sure if you're also familiar back then when cryptocurrency and Web3 were the top of the town, right? And almost
Right.
everybody wants to be in that bandwagon. So having said that, machine learning is also somewhat going through that same flow or trend, in society in general. In general. So meaning that this is also to set some expectations that AI and ML, AI and ML, no, are is much like other technologies. It's not a magic bullet. It's not everything. And I'm sorry to say, but the dystopic perception of AI already taking over all fields of society and all sectors of society is in fact far from fantasy. Or sorry, far from realization. No? It's far closer to fantasy as what would deem so. This is because no, us as a society also face these different issues, right? So meaning that um, yeah, I mean, AI and ML can still fully distinguish ethics, concepts of ethics. No? Some deterministic and deterministic problems and correctness and completeness of data, especially if context is not given properly, right? The concept of, say, cybersecurity and vulnerabilities and threats there, no, its misuse and misapplication is also prevalent, right? I mean, this is also much like uh, cryptocurrency and even Web3 are, it is also being used for malefic purposes. So it's not also a technology that can say that can be purely beneficial. No? So it's just a matter of also outweighing, the overall net good that it can provide to us. And of course, like what I mentioned also a while ago about its issues and challenges on correctness and deterministic problems, no, it's also sense of ambiguity, no, due to its lack of interpretability or multiple interpretability. No? So these concepts, even though we can see that are somewhat applied in AI and ML in general, no, taken also in the context of Open RAN, it's still there. No? So it's still there. For example, the issue of correctness and completeness, say, the model that was deployed to monitor the overall health of the network is giving false positives. It's still there. No, it's not really that too far off that whatever it is, this technology is able to provide to Open RAN in general is something that is also purely beneficial. There are still some tweaks, there are still some bugs and issues that we still need to iron. So I think that's everything for my sake. This is just the challenges of network of natural language processing. But again, the concepts or its limitations is also similar to AI and ML.
And we really learned a lot from you. And I believe that the audience will really want to learn from you more. Where are they gonna contact you or where are they gonna follow you there?
Yeah. So I'll reshare again my QR code. So if you want to connect with me via LinkedIn, so you can follow me there also. I'm also reachable via Issue Open Run Academy Facebook group. No, um, yeah, those are the two platforms that they have because even though you can also reach out to me via Globe Telecom and also via FEU Institute of Technology, no, you can just reach out to me via link. No?
I will follow you. Thank you so much, Sir Liver. And what you shared to us is very, very important knowledge that probably not all of us can apply it today, but probably in the future, we could really that so that we could create something that you said, a innovative idea. All right. When it comes to telecommunication and network. Again, thank you so much for sharing your ideas and taking time here in our episode. Okay. Sir, have a great day. Bye bye po.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you.